Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA video, we're going to be taking a look at a huge GTA 6 leak that actually came out the other day. We'll be talking about if it's real or fake, and also the entire details of the post that was made. It was posted on the website 4chan, which, believe it or not, in the past has actually been right on several Rockstar leaks, Red Dead Redemption, GTA specific, Grand Theft Auto Online, but you do have to take it with a major grain of salt. So this video is not going to be confirming or denying anything. We're just going to be going over what was said, and then at the end we'll talk about maybe the validity and ultimately leave it up to you to decide whether or not you think it's fake. So again, all of these details were posted on a 4chan Ask Me Anything that was eventually taken down, but here is the complete list of what they said. Starting at the very top, it is going to be a chapter system similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, and the first two chapters are set in the late 1970s. So if this is the case, I actually kind of liked the chapter progression of RDR2 because with each chapter, like the world changed, your characters changed. Like it was awesome to see how different things were in the first couple of chapters versus the final couple of chapters. And the 1970s setting for the first couple would be very interesting. It kind of makes you wonder if the last few would be set in modern times or maybe in another decade. The next thing is the targeted release date, October 2023. I don't know how this individual knows that. Maybe that's just like a date that Rockstar is like sort of thrown on their dartboard and said, we like that. If that's the case, we're roughly looking at about like 2 3/4 years away, which is a long time. So we'd have to expect an announcement sooner. Apparently, there's going to be one male protagonist, codenamed Ricardo, which was leaked previously. The name of the protagonist is a spoiler in itself, which can potentially spoil the narrative. And the leaker also said beware of future leakers who might spoil the name of the protagonist. Interesting. So maybe Ricardo is not Ricardo at all, but someone totally different. He says the map covers Miami and Florida and a smaller map that appears in limited interaction similar to Guarma in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I'm going to assume that the setting in that case would be Vice City and the surrounding areas, and then being able to go potentially to a smaller area like South America or Central America, like previous leaks have mentioned. The leaker also claims that Dan Houser, Rockstar co-founder, left because he exhausted himself after RDR2 crunch, but could return in the future. They said the main story is set to be 60 hours long, which is very similar to what it was for Red Dead Redemption 2. So that would actually be quite nice because that was one of the best single-player experiences ever. They say that a Grand Theft Auto Online multiplayer counterpart is going to release a few months after the single player, similar to what they did with RDR2 and Red Dead Online. It's also what they did to GTA Online, although there was only a 2-week gap between that coming out. The leaker says it's the best story ever put in a GTA game, but not quite as emotional as Red Dead Redemption 2. And I will say Red Dead Redemption 2 had one of the most emotional endings of all time, so it's not surprising that it would be kind of hard for Rockstar to ultimately beat that. They say the mission structure is supposedly to be quite free. I'm not really sure what that means. Maybe they just don't like task you up from going to point A to point B. Maybe they allow multiple different ways to complete a mission. Moving on, regarding the map, they say it is smaller than Red Dead Redemption 2, but way dense. So I don't know how Rockstar would make it smaller than RDR2 because Red Dead Redemption 2's map is big, but it's also big because there isn't modern ways of transportation, planes, jets, cars, boats, etc. If you had like a car, you'd be able to get, to and from Red Dead Redemption 2's locations very quickly. So I don't know how that one is ultimately going to work. Apparently there's going to be mini games like surfing, windsurfing, and roller derby. Not surprising, as Grand Theft Auto is known for its mini games and fun activities. Red Dead Redemption is technically being remastered and is supposed to come out before GTA 6, which wouldn't be surprising either. That's like an easy thing I would say Rockstar could do. According to the leaker, in the game, he says you meet Ken Rosenberg, who is the lawyer from Vice City, and he mentions Tommy Vercetti several times, although you never actually meet Tommy. That sounds interesting. That almost sounds too good to be true. Like you meet two iconic characters from Vice City, but again, if the game does take place in Florida, it's not too unsurprising. The only thing that's surprising about that is Rockstar have said that the eras between the 3D, HD, and whatever the next era is going to be are supposed to be separate. So I don't know how that's going to work because characters like that cannot return. The leaker talked about improved AI design, saying you may see NPCs beeping their horn and driving aggressively around other drivers because they're late for work. That would be cool. The NPCs in Red Dead Redemption 2 were amazing, so I do hope they improve on that. They go on to say the family from GTA 4 was mentioned, and Love Fist are involved in missions and side missions. That would be fun. Love Fist was in GTA 5 as well. Moving on, apparently direct contact with explosions can blow off limbs, can leave you with deep cuts, and close combat shooting can result in bone fragmentation. That sounds very graphic, something we haven't really seen in a GTA game, so I wonder why Rockstar would suddenly implement that, although we did see that in Red Dead Redemption 2. Apparently there's going to be nudity level similar to Cyberpunk. There was nudity in GTA 5, so I don't know what to make of that. Apparently Rockstar is impressed with Sony, and the load times are surprisingly good for a game of this size and detail. They are also using the haptics from DualSense, which is the PS5 controller for the game. Not surprising that Rockstar is already working, if this is true, with Sony and probably Microsoft. The console versions are being prioritized, so the PC will be releasing later after optimization. If this is true, again, not a surprise, as we saw that with GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. They go on to say body form alteration can happen, like in GTA San Andreas, but not as dramatic, and people will comment on your apparel choices. I do like that. I felt like that also happened in Red Dead Redemption 2 as well, not only with the main characters, but NPCs as well. They say the online is going to be grounded for the release, not like current GTA Online when there's flying cars. So we're kind of going to go back to square one. So that GTA multiplayer won't be filled with oppressors and deluxos, according to this leak. Apparently, a female protagonist was contemplated around 2017, but was not finalized because it doesn't fit with GTA's narrative. We have heard plenty of leaks in the past about a potential female main character coming to the game. They says the age of the protagonist is supposed to be about 34 by the end of the game, and there's going to be a protagonist during the 1970s part of the game and a protagonist in the modern day counterpart. So I don't know if it's going to be the same person or if it's going to be like an Arthur Morgan, John Marston situation where you play as one and then jump to another. The main character is a white male, roughly 6'1", has a sun-kissed tan, Italian, raised in America, and has jet black hair. It's kind of an interesting description for our main guy, but if this is true, that's what he looks like. Storms and weather are genuinely insane, according to this. So I do like that. Red Dead Redemption 2 had some awesome weather. Apparently, car customization has been improved from GTA 5. Cars change with time, and so do clothes and hairstyles. And the older cars become the less common with time. And if someone sees you drive an old car, they might call it a piece of crap. Well, that's kind of fun. The leaker goes on to say that the Mexican from previous leaks is a very wealthy man who peddles Colombian marching powder. So the Mexican was a leak that we'd actually seen on someone else's resume, that was a character they played in GTA 6. So that's a little bit of background on him. The Mafia is in this game, but the leaker refused to share more details on that. Liberty City apparently has limited missions in the game, and the Mafia's family influence is heavy there, so there will be slight ties to Liberty City. Pop and rock have a huge part of the soundtrack. Apparently, the Pet Shop Boys have a few tracks in the game. Dan wrote the rough idea for the game, but hasn't written a lot. The game is very politically incorrect, according to the leaker, and the announcement can happen as early as spring 2022. So those are really all the bullet points from the leak that we have seen so far. And I guess now getting on to my opinion on whether I think this is real or fake. I mean, I feel like there's a lot going on here. This leaker is jumping from like details on the map to the main character to the way NPCs are working to the music on the radio stations. It all sort of seems too good to be true. And whenever we see stuff like this, I always take it with some cautious optimism. I'm not going to get overexcited about this because, of course, none of it has been confirmed, so please do take it with a grain of salt. But I'm also not going to completely write it out because we have seen leaks in the past like this that have been completely true, or at least parts of it have been completely true. And if parts of this are completely true, I did find some exciting things. I do like how a lot of it is similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, which is, in my opinion, one of the best games Rockstar have ever made. I do like how it looks like there's going to be multiple sort of eras that you play in, going from the 70s to modern day. That can lead to some fun clothing, cars, hairstyles. It can lead to a lot of cool changes for the actual map itself. I mean, just think about how cities looked in the 1970s to today. They're probably completely different in a lot of areas. So I do think there's a lot of parts that sound really cool. There's some parts that sound kind of unrealistic, like sort of knowing when the release date is going to be, knowing when the announcement might end up happening. But this is where I want to leave the discussion up to you guys. Do you think that this leak is real or fake? Do you think there's part of it that are real, part of it that are fake? Let me know what you guys are thinking in those comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.